a Midwesterner, born outside of Detroit, grew up in South Bend, went to college here in Muncie. To move out to the Northwest landscape was awe-inspiring. You move to a place like Portland, you go an hour one way and you're in Mount Hood and the Gorge and like mythical evergreen forests with moss and lichen and ferns. You know what I mean? It's like Middle Earth, you drive to the forest and it's beautiful. You go an hour the other direction on your like rocky, craggy coastline that's beautiful. And so there is, I think, in Portland, in the Northwest, there was a immediacy to the beauty right outside your door. It's an obvious beauty. You go to it and you stand there and you pinch yourself like, whoa, I live here. This is amazing, That's why a lot of people are moving there too, though, So it was perplexing to me when it was time to go, Because I will say there was something about living there. I always felt like a visitor. So we would go to these places, we'd go to the coast, go to the mountains, go to the gorge, go to the woods, the waterfalls, but I always felt like a visitor, which in some ways makes you feel like a tourist. And when you're a tourist, even if you're seeing cool things, there's a point at which you say, I want to go home now to the place that I own and I understand, and like a place that actually is inside of me, So in many ways, that was our coming back here as well. It was coming back to a place that although the beauty here isn't as like smack you over the face, it's not as obvious, but there's something about Indiana in particular that like I understand it to a point that when I come here, I don't feel like a visitor. I feel like this is like a place that is part of me, And there was this important thing that happened right when we first moved here. We bought this house, moved into fall and then winter, and like I said, I would go out to the woods to just walk and think and ask God questions, try to make sense of life. And it was a snowy day in the middle of the woods. And there's just this moment where, when there's snow on the ground, there's no leaves on anything. And there's like these, bushes coming up out of the snow that just look like black bones crossing each other, so white with these black bones crossing each other. And then this cardinal came and landed right in the middle of it. And I just stopped. And I knew, I said out loud, I like took it in and I said, that's as beautiful as anything else on earth. And I knew it. And I like looked at it. Something about the red, the black, the white. I was struck by it. That's as beautiful as any place on earth. As the Northwest, as, the other side of the world, that's like beauty is beauty, And it's almost like the Lord told me in that moment, he's like, you just have to look harder here. You have to have your eyes open. You have to hunt for it. It's not always obvious, but it is here, just as it's everywhere. And the glory of the Lord fills the earth, And he gave me this phrase as I walked and thought about that. I knew he was like speaking to me through that picture and then through this sort of dialogue that began. And I felt like he invited me. He invited me to say, like, I've brought you here to a place that's more simple, to explore worlds within worlds. At first I was like, that's a cool phrase. What does that mean, Lord? Worlds within worlds. And he showed me that like someone like a Tolkien or others, like they might live in a place that's more simple. Their day-to-day might even look more simple, but something about the parameters of simplicity, of less things distracting and pulling you in 1,000 different directions. There's the possibility to really lock in on an idea or a calling or your craft, or your imagination. And for him, he was saying like, man, there's what most people just look past and don't even take in, like there's worlds within worlds beneath that. If you can like take time to actually look at it and unfold it, think on it, and let your imagination unravel. So when you're talking about a song, to not just crank something out because it's time to make a new album, but what does it look like within a creative endeavor to explore worlds within worlds? Like I dare say the stories and the songs that reverberate through generations are someone who've really tapped into like exploring more beneath the surface. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put that, but I think being here has been a beginning of an exercise of like simplifying You know what I mean? Starting to say no to things and push things out, even being less external on social media and touring less, and these things that we think we have to do to be remembered, to make headway, to make sure people buy my next album, to make sure they come to my show, to make sure that I'm keeping up with all my buddies who are doing the same thing, you know? To begin to like simplify a little bit so that there can be time to explore the heart of a thing, you know? Because I think there's a lot there, you know?